hello everybody. It's Elliot Kosmicki from ElliotKosmicki.com, and this is going to be our second interview in the Top MLM Earner series that we've got going on at ElliotKosmicki.com. And I've got a really special guest here today. I thank her in advance for waking up early. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, and being with us. A little bit about her from my eyes. I love her story. I wish I could use it, except it's not true for me. She went from being a cocktail waitress in Chicago to living the beach life in Florida, all because of network marketing. She's a top-ranked blogger, won a bunch of contests with her blog. She's a leader in her network marketing company, as well as MLSP, My Lead System Pro, which is our lead generation system, which we both love. Above all, she's an honest, trustworthy girl that just really wants other people to succeed like she has, and that really comes through in everything she does. I'm really lucky to be able to call her my mentor and definitely my friend, the one and only April Marie Tucker. Hello, April.
Hello. Wow, I'm like sitting here blushing over here.
Oh.
You know, it's really great to be with you, Elliot. You know, this is really exciting that you're doing this Top MLM Earner series because there's so much to learn from top earners, and you know, it's like reading in between. If you read in between the lines of what people are really sharing on these interviews that you're doing, that's where the real success tips are. You got to really learn to read in between the lines and really analyze what they're saying, because success leaves clues. I truly believe that success leaves clues. So you want to make sure that you're paying close attention to what Elliot is sharing with these Top MLM Earner interviews, because they're like game changing if you really take advantage of the resources that he is providing here. So make sure you tune in, definitely.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I think a lot of things that seem to be coming through in the people that I'm talking to, and we've only got one published interview so far, but there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of definite trends between the top people in the industry. There's no doubt about it. Let's start at the beginning, April. Where are you from? Where did you come from?
Where did I come from? I won't say where I really came from because it's kind of weird. I'm actually from Traverse City, Michigan. I am a Michigan girl at heart. My family, most of my family is still there. I'm kind of like the lone wolf down in Florida here. And so we're all kind of, well, they're all up there and I'm all down here in Florida now. So yeah, Traverse City, Michigan is where I'm from. Great
So
Lakes.
You're a Midwest girl. How did you end up in Chicago?
My family moved to Chicago when I was very young, probably, well, I wouldn't say very young, but in junior high we moved to Chicago area. So I actually lived in Cary, Illinois, which isn't too far from Wisconsin, for, 7 years. So I went through high school and all of that. Ended up meeting the father of my child, my first child, was pregnant at the age of 17. And kind of developed roots there because of him, you know, having his father there. So when we moved back to Michigan, there was, you know, I met my younger two's dad, and we were together for quite a few years. And then I moved down to Georgia, and then I ended up becoming a single mom again and nearly homeless. So I was in a very scary situation. And at the time, my family was going through some pretty divorce, and my parents, well, my stepdad and my mom were getting divorced, so I ended up having to move back to Chicago because that's kind of where they were willing to help me at that time, because I didn't have any help. So I was really just kind of left to my own devices, and you know, having 3 kids, my youngest was 17 months at the time. I really didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I could get a job at the casino that was close by because that's what I was doing in Georgia. I already had the experience. So I went back there, and that's kind of how I landed back in Chicago, and I stayed there for about 4 years and then moved to Florida. So I've kind of moved around a lot in my younger adult life.
So you're in Chicago. You're working at the casino, serving cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of outfits do you wear? No, that's for.
Do you want to know, really? I can show you pictures.
That's something else. So when does internet marketing kind of come into your life? Like, how is it presented to you, and what's your initial reaction when you start thinking about this?
Yeah, actually, it wasn't internet marketing that came to me. It was network marketing. Somebody approached me, actually, my fiance now, approached me with network marketing, and I remember my first initial reaction was, because he's basically like you're joining. Obviously, you're not going to tell the guy that you're, seeing. Well, we were living together at the time. You're not going to tell him you might not have a place to live. You're not going to tell him no. But he has been network marketing for 23 years now. So when he approached me about it, I was just like, here's my credit card, but don't expect me to sell anything. Had no, I mean, like, seriously, like, I'm just not a salesy. I mean, I sold cocktails, but, to me it was a lot different than I didn't want to go to my family and friends. I grew up in a household that always, my mom, like, I remember the first time somebody dragged me to a network marketing meeting, and my mom's like, stay away from those pyramid things. They're against the Bible. So that was always ringing in the back of my mind. And coming from a household that was literally like, job mentality, except for my stepfather. I will tell you, he's an inventor and he's got royalties and collects royalty checks. But coming from my mom, who I highly respect and I highly admire, always saying, you need a job, 9 to 5, go to college. I mean, these are things that I was always hearing in my ear growing up. And me being the oddball, kind of, I guess you would call me, I don't know if I see myself back then I was a family screw up. I was the kid that was always in trouble and doing things, dating bad guys and doing all the crazy stuff, right? Now I kind of I'm still the weirdo, but in a different way. I'm stable now. I'm good. I've got a nice home in Florida and stuff like that. But I'm still the oddball because I'm an entrepreneur, and they are so job mentality. Talking to my mom is draining. I'm telling you. I'm just like, how do you even live in your misery? Like, she just hates her job. Blah blah blah. And hopefully you don't send this to her, but it's true, and I bring it up to her and I point it out to her and I'm like, hey, but they don't want nothing to do with what I do, and that's cool. That's why I actually came online. I ended up having to take my business online. It was probably after about 4 to 5 months of me just crying, I mean, just starving in my business, just literally starving, and actually growing more broke than I was anything else, spending thousands of dollars and countless hours on things that just did not work, really just on the verge of giving up. I really was, like, seriously, like, on the verge of giving up. It was to the point where I just didn't even want to come to my business anymore. It was like I didn't even want to go to work anymore, so I was like just struggling that bad. And then what I would do is I would work. Let me just go back a little bit, because I worked at a casino, like we talked about, but I would actually go to work at 8 o'clock at night, and I would return home at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I worked about 11 hours, commuting and everything all included, right? Not even including the time it took me to get ready, because like Elliot was making a joke, I had to wear a bustier. I was like a showgirl. I worked at a casino as a cocktail server, so pretty hair, long extensions, had to have, it took me 8 hours to get my hair done at the hairdresser, so not including all that time. I don't think people really think about the time that it takes them to get ready before they even go to work, you know what I mean? Not including the commute and the extra gas that they have to put in their car and everything else. I'm telling you, you don't know until you have what I have right now on how many hours and things that you're spending just on your job, even when you're not there. So, I'd come home from work, and at 7 o'clock in the morning, I would finally be getting in bed around like 7:30 in the morning, and I would click for credits. Just seriously, like scrimping and scraping, trying to get leads for my business, trying to make something work, because the worm market, all of that jazz did not work for me. Everybody thought I was a joke, and why would they respect somebody like myself, Seriously. There's two different types of people in this industry. There's people with influence and there's people without influence. And there's a little in between there. I didn't fall in between. I didn't fall into the category of a person with influence because of my history moving around a lot. I just told you, people like that just don't get a lot of influence. They don't get a lot of ground with people, right? So I was just scrimping and scraping for what I could get on the internet, buying leads, cold calling, doing all the stuff that, your network marketing company will tell you to do. I was approaching people at Walmart, doing all of these things, and they weren't working. So I think at that time I had sponsored my mom and my sister, and Jeffrey had put a bunch of people on my team. So I did not have really anybody. My mom and my sister were customers. They weren't anybody, right? So I was clicking for credits on this traffic.
So hold on a second. So you at this point, you're walking around Walmart asking the.
No, I didn't do that.
Well,
I just would like, I would hear the what do you call it, the cashier bitching about their, excuse my French.
right, no, I was
saying
making
stuff
it.
about their
I
job
know
and
what
I
you
would
were
bring it
doing.
up.
But
Huh?
what I'm saying, what's the time like? What's the time frame here? Because you're at the
About 4 to 5
casino.
months of just doing this, just
Okay, all right.
struggling, not doing much in their business. I mean, I had Jeffrey, who was really good at what he does, and he's teaching me and stuff like that, doing old school. He was doing some online things, and that's why I decided to come online and start doing the clicking for credits. Our upline had like systems that would teach you how to generate, but not good leads. You know what I mean, or buy leads, kind of like in place.
The reason I asked is because I know it's a common question for people that are struggling to feel like, how long is this going to take me? How long do I have to struggle? And obviously, it's different for everybody based on your motivation and your activity level. But it's good to kind of get that feel of
Well, you got to remember, I didn't have any technique. I didn't have a strategy. I was kind of blowing around in the wind, not having any direction. It's kind of like being on a sailboat but not having any wind and direction or anything, right? So you got to kind of think of it like that. I don't judge that, because there's a lot of people that will go years like that. They just don't have the right mentorship. They don't have the right training. They don't have the skill sets, and they're not investing in their skill sets. You could still do all the mindset in the world, but you still have to have some type of skill as far as strategy, some kind of technique that you're going to use. I don't care if you're a prospector. You could be an ultimate prospector type person, but you would have a certain technique that really works, and you have a gift of communicating with people to be able to get them to join your business. There's some kind of technique or strategy there. There has to be, and I didn't have one. I just was kind of like most people, trying everything, kind of like a starving kid, just like reaching for anything, and at one point you're just kind of eating, cardboard even looks good for you. You know what I mean? If you're that hungry. And that's kind of where I was at in my business. So 4 to 5 months like that. 4 to 5 months I was like that, and then I was really gracious enough to come across a system, and it was a Facebook training, and that's when I came home from work, and like I said, I was clicking for credits after work, after working a 10-hour grave in high heels, carrying a heavy tray. I would come home, be at 7 o'clock in the morning, get in bed at 7:30, and sit with my laptop and work my business. Now, you guys, that's determination, wouldn't you say? To really seriously work that. I mean, I remember feeling like crawling into bed, you guys. I had garbage bags up all over my windows because I worked a grave. I had to sleep. I had to pretend it was nighttime. So here I am working, half an hour to an hour after I worked those gruesome hours in high heels, back killing me, feet hurting, barely able to even like get up the stairs and get in bed, right? And I'm coming and I'm laying down and I'm doing that. That's the determination that I have, though. That's the kind of, I got to make this work or I'm going to be picking up garbage at the casino. That wasn't for me something that I wanted to do when I was 50, 40 years old. I mean, at the time I was 27, so that was okay at the time, but that wasn't something lifelong career. That's not something I even saw myself doing in my 30s, right? So I only knew I had a couple of more years left of doing that. My back was also really affected by that. I wasn't able to wear the high heels anymore. My feet were killing me. Most of those waitresses were on Vicodins every day. They couldn't do it anymore, So, it was that type of pain and not being able to see my children. I was a single mom at the time, 3 kids, and while I was just met Jeff, we were just still in our early phases. And so I just had this determination that I had to make it work, even though every inch of me was like, man, this isn't working. I feel like quitting. This is horrible. You know what I mean? But I came across this system, and it wasn't even a system. It was a free Facebook training. And at the time, I was not on Facebook. No Facebook. Didn't know what Facebook really was. Somebody told me to join it, so I did. And then I said, this is way confusing. I'm going back to MySpace, and I never looked at it again. Didn't know my passwords, didn't know anything. So when I came across this training that said free Facebook training, I was like, wow, really? I didn't know you could make, it says Facebook is a cash cow. Network marketers, I had like all this catchy stuff that really just was like, wow, this sounds like a good idea for me to get, right? So I opted in, and I never opted into stuff, you guys. Like, I would go on these traffic exchanges. All I wanted was credits so that people would see my ad. Did not care about what else was there. I was literally sitting there like this. waiting for the timer to go off because I'm in bed, you guys. So when this Facebook training came up, I really caught my eye, and it was an MLSP training, and this was back in 2010, June of 2010. So I opt in, and I'm like watching this free webinar. At first, I was kind of like, is this really free? You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys have all felt like that. Like, you're just like, is this really real? Is this really free? Or are they, pulling my chain here? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Most people have that mentality. It's normal. So I was like that. So I got in there, and I'm watching this webinar, and everything he's showing to do. I mean, I'm sitting here, because we are taught in network marketing or, with any type of network marketing company, approach your friends, lead with the product sells itself, all of these things, right? So everything they're teaching me is going against the whole concept that I've been being taught this whole time and being brainwashed with my network marketing company. So, but at the same time, the light bulbs are going off in my head. Like, oh my gosh, that's why nobody's joining me. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, right? So, I fell asleep. I'm not going to lie. I did end up falling asleep during this training. I didn't finish it. But I remember the next morning, that day, because I worked a grave, so it was different for me. My mornings were different. But I woke up with just this ambition. Like, I knew that this was it. Like, I knew that if I joined, I had to figure out how I was going to get in this thing and get the more training and more of the stuff. I knew I had to invest in my skill set. So I just woke up with this, I just knew that I was going to be successful mentality. And I knew it in my core. Like, no matter what, this was it. This was the keys to the kingdom. So what I did was I told Jeffrey about it. Long story short, he was like, oh, I have that. And he didn't know at first if he did. He had been paying for it a long time. The system is My Lead System Pro. And so he gives me his link, and I join underneath him. And got in there, and I was the system was a lot different back there, but I was so new to the internet. What's an autoresponder? Didn't know. What's a domain name? Did not know. So all this stuff they're speaking to me, it's like they're speaking in another language. It's like they're speaking Chinese, and I don't speak Chinese. So I'm trying to muddle through this stuff, right? And I'm like seriously struggling. Remind you, did not have a Facebook, did not anything. But what I did was I just decided to focus on that first initial training that I got, which was the Facebook training, and I decided it's not that hard to click the upload button on Facebook. It just isn't. So I just decided to start putting videos on Facebook. And I would say probably that's the only strategy I focused on. And then in September, I did finally start to do YouTube. So from June to September, all I was doing was Facebook, putting videos on Facebook, and they were bad, really bad.
I have to admit, there was a minute there where I actually forgot I was interviewing you, and I was just watching a video of April Marie Tucker talking about.
Oh, I can shut up. You want to talk more questions? You wanted to know my story?
No. This is perfect. So you didn't even start. I knew you were into video, but so you actually started posting videos on Facebook before you were even doing YouTube.
I didn't even have a YouTube channel. If you go back and you look at my YouTube channel, it was not established until September of 2010. The blog, I think, was September, maybe October. Didn't have anything. It was just all Facebook. That's it. So I would just put, and I was like, I didn't have a fan page either, guys. I was only using my profile, uploading videos, and I was tagging people in it. And I started a huge thing, though, a huge wave. Like, my new friends, I would give shout-outs in my videos. People probably don't know this about me. If they actually go back and they look at my old Facebook videos, they'll see at the end of every video, I would shout out to all my new Facebook friends, all the people that had maybe just stood out to me and left a really nice comment in the last video I did. So before I did any video, I would write down all the names of everybody that had just recently friend requested me, commented, made a nice gesture on one of my videos or anything, and I would shout out to them. And then what I would do is I would tag them in that video. Now, the strategy is not going to work anymore. Sorry.
No, but you know what? That's really interesting because you still do that today in different ways. And you are so good at this, and it's something that I've really picked up from you that, I try to, it's changed my mentality. The way April's really, really good at putting out her hand and saying, come over here. I'm going to tell people who you are, and don't worry, just smile for the camera or whatever. I mean, she's very uplifting. She's very inclusive. She'll, which is huge because it makes new people feel like superstars, and that's, you know, from a leader standpoint, that's definitely something that you want to start doing, even if you're not a leader, because that makes you a leader, bringing other people up, even though you may not be up right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great tip, and it's funny you brought that up because that's something that I've definitely picked up from you.
Yeah, you know what? One thing that I really pride myself on is being a servant leader. I think if we can lead with a servant heart mentality and we can really serve other people, we will be served in return. And that's my whole, like, I guess you would call it my mission of my business is to serve other people. And for me, that's just always worked for me. It might not be one of those types of, I mean, I might not be like one of the fastest rising successes. It might be a slow, steady road for me. But, you know, I've just really strongly believed in my core value is that. It's just serving other people. So I just make it my mission in my business to serve others. And I think that people, if they really, really took the time to serve other people and not just make it about them. I see so many people, they focus on the paycheck, they make it about them. You know, I can sit here and tell you my story all day, but really, you know, my whole mission is to inspire you by my story because I want people to feel like they can do this, like they can have it all. They can have the type of lifestyle that I have, even if they came from the worst of circumstances. And that's why I share my story the way I do, really.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think so. We're at the point where you're doing video, and we can kind of shorten the story portion of this up because you basically went from video to who you are now. You've kind of worked a very similar system since then. But what when you started doing those videos, you got onto YouTube. Was there a point there where you were like, wow, this is what I'm doing. This is actually working.
Yeah, my videos kind of started off kind of silly. I would call them silly, very amateur, but people really liked them. They enjoyed the realism, you know what I mean? People like reality. I would include my kids. I would put my dog. I would be silly. But I would always give value. There would always be something in there of value, just always. But, you know, at the time, it was like I didn't have very much value, so it would be just me, like, once again, even like scrimping and scraping for learning new things, right? Getting on calls, making sure I was on every last company wake-up call, whatever. And just, you know, anything, any little tip that I could get from that, I would share that, and I would do this every day. And then when I went onto YouTube, things really started to drastically change because things started to really click. Like, I think at first when people saw me on Facebook, I wasn't developing the influence yet, but as I was developing my skills, then people started seeing me transforming into the leader, you know what I mean, that they seek, and I was learning things from My Lead System Pro. I was investing in my skill sets. I was sharing these things. A lot of people probably know me as like the how-to person. They get a lot of value from me because I've always shared like simple strategies, techniques, things that are working for me in my business, tips, tricks, all kinds of stuff on my YouTube channel, so they kind of know me. They know that when they come to my channel, they're going to get something, right? They're going to really get something good most of the time. So that's kind of how I've developed my brand, is to that type of person, as somebody who just really, really gives back and gives the value and stuff like that. And then lately, like from 2011, I'll say probably late 2011, early 2012, I started developing my skills into more SEO and ranking on search engines. So I took my videos and things like that to a new level by ranking things on the search engines. Because at first I just, like I said, I just would give value. That was it. Things started to drastically change, I'll say, around that 90-day mark after joining MLSP. People started joining me. I even had, you know, I remember the first time somebody joined me in my primary business. I was like, just like, wow, I can't believe this works in a way, because even though I was doing it, I still didn't have any belief that what I was really doing was gonna work.
You were taking the actions, but
yeah,
kind of blindly taking the actions.
Yeah, I didn't really know if it would work or not. I just did it. I just did what they told me to do, followed the training, and
let me interrupt you there, because back me up if you think I'm right on this, but that, I think, is something I've had problems with this in the past, where I always think I know how to do something, or I'm going to figure out a better way to do this. I don't really like the way they're doing it, so I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Instead of, I think a lot of people do that, especially early on in their online network marketing, internet marketing careers. But then finding that person or that system and literally just following that step, step by step. How do you do this? You just do it. Here's exactly what you do, and it sounds like that's kind of what you did at first.
Yeah, I didn't. I think for me, anyways, if I think too much into things, I can actually end up talking myself out of it. So for me, it's actually like just do it. So those are things that I've always chanted in my head: is just do it, just do it, just do it. I don't worry about getting better until after I've done it. Like, okay, next time I'll do it better. You know what I mean? So I think if people can stop over analyzing, which is for some people it's really hard to do, or if we want to sit there and we overthink or we think too far ahead even, you got to remember it's kind of like baby steps. Just doing what they're telling you to do, critiquing it, getting it better, getting your own technique, your own style. After you've done it the first time, the next time you're going to do it a little bit more better, and then a little bit more better, and a little bit more better. We got to think baby steps instead of let's eat the whole apple at once. I've used this analogy before. I mean, you really cannot put a whole apple in your mouth. So think of it as your business is like this apple, and you have to take a bite at a time. You can't just be like, well, and put this whole thing in your mouth unless you got a really big mouth, which I don't have. In that case, I'd have to say a watermelon, okay, because you can't eat in a watermelon all at once. So just thinking of it that way, because I see a lot of people, what they do is they'll come online and they'll be like, oh, I got to have a blog, I got to have hosting, and I got to have all this stuff. And no, you start here, you take this first step, and with MLSP, this is very easy, and that's why I plugged my team into MLSP, is because it's so step by step. There's no more of this feeling like you have to eat the apple all at once. I mean, most people would never be able to do that anyways, or throw up or something if they tried it, right?
Well, but then people still they do fall into that trap because there is
even when they go in. So it's important for me as somebody who's mentored a lot of people, hundreds of people, right? For me to keep them on track and say, no, you're going too far ahead. Even before people join MLSP, they'll be coming back to me. I need hosting. Maybe I should go buy hosting first. And I'm like, what? No. You join MLSP. You don't do anything until they tell you to do it. That's it, right? So I think sometimes we think too far ahead, and we think of what we need to be. We'll look around and we'll see other leaders like Elliot, or we'll look around and we'll see other leaders like myself, and we'll be like, we want to be like that right now. But we have to have some type of growth to be able to get to where Elliot's at, where myself's at. We have to have that growth, and there has to be an in between, and there has to be steps. There's things that have to come first. So putting up a site like ElliotKosmicki.com, you're not going to have that overnight. Elliot works very hard at that. It's skills that he's acquired over many, many years to be able to get him to be able to set that up, design it the way it is, and all that stuff. So we just have to remember that. I think we're coming into where our business is even. Yeah,
definitely. And one thing at a time, small bites. Those are very, very important. You mentioned blogging. Your blog's very, very successful. When did you start blogging?
Oh, I did. It's like I said, I think it was October. You'll see, October of 2010. So I was online.
Okay, that was in 2010 too. Okay.
Yeah. And I probably just dabbled in it. At first, what I did was I just used it to put my videos on it. Like, didn't really write much. Like, if you look back at really my older posts, and they're all still there. So, setting up my blog, what I did was I followed MLSP. And I followed their training, and then I hired somebody. I paid like $50 for somebody to do a header, and it was really ugly. I don't even know what I was thinking, but you can go get one now better than what I had on Fiverr for $5. But that's pretty much what I did, and I just put my videos on there. And still today, I still do that. I still put videos on there, but I just have gotten better and mastered my craft better, and learned to rank on search engines and things like that have consistently brought me traffic. But one thing that I really heavily relied on, especially in the beginning, is social media. So because I was doing all the Facebook and all this stuff, I had mastered how to, really get in front of an audience on Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff at the same time. So when everybody's blogs and all this stuff were pretty much being de-indexed when the Panda Slap came, my blog was more powerful than ever before. So I saw a rise in traffic because I had the social exposure, even though I wasn't even trying to rank for anything at the time. Like, I didn't even try to rank at that time for stuff. So my blog actually was starting to get traffic from the search engines, and that's when I decided to start really building on that. And because I had already had a lot of that social exposure, and I had already established a brand through social media, it was very easy for me to start ranking on the search engines.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you what's your recommend? I was just thinking about what you told me early on, and just kind of tips for people that are at that very beginning stage where they are trying to pick a path. Obviously, video is very powerful and very popular right now. Blogging is something that I feel like everyone should do, but there is some learning curve there for a lot of people. Most half technically savvy people can get into it right away, but it just may not be a comfort level. I think video is actually an easier in at first. What do you think?
It is. I always tell people, I examine them. It's kind of like I'm a doctor. So when I'm talking to somebody, I examine what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are they willing to do now. Really, most importantly, because sometimes it's not even about strengths or weaknesses. I just told you that I sucked. I was really bad in front of the video camera. I was stupid, silly. So I mean, I didn't have a strength in doing video off the bat. In fact, it took me 30 minutes to even talk in front of the video camera. So, even though you might feel like you're weak in that area, I need to know, what are you willing to do to move your business forward today? Some people would rather die than get in front of the video camera. I need to determine where they're at, mentality-wise, right, before I can even direct them into anything. For some people, it's easier for them to write an article. For some people, it's easier for them to do a video. For some people, they're a social butterfly. They want to jump into Facebook. They want to do Twitter. They want to do all this stuff. They don't really care about all that. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you're really going to get good at your craft and you really want people to pick up the phone and call you, yes, I encourage people to do video. But like I said, there's got to be a growth that happens for even myself. I had to grow into certain things. I was speaking on stage in November. Even though I've done hotel meetings and I've spoken in front of small groups, that was like significant leap, even in faith, really. So there had to be a certain growth that got me to that point, because a year ago I would never have done it. I would have said, no way am I even getting on that stage, right?
You were barely shaking up there.
Yeah, shaking my boots. It's like kind of like when you're trying to get started in a video. Usually once I get rolling, I'm pretty good. Yeah. Once I get over that initial, this is not that bad, then, if you can really think of that, if you are fearful of the video camera, if you can just get over that one little part where it's like, it's not so bad, you figure it out, you know what I mean, that it's not that bad. So just that first 5 seconds, 10, maybe even longer, and you're kind of nervous, and a lot of that is just being inadequate, though. Feeling inadequate, it's, not possessing skills. It's because you're not investing in your skill sets. It's because you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in your business. So a lot of that will go away once you are doing the things that you need to do in your business. It will, I promise.
So what do you think the most, a lot of successful marketers, a lot of successful network marketers, what do you think is that you see is maybe the most important trait all of these successful people have, that you've worked with and know throughout the industry?
They take massive action. Because I think the belief will come. You might not. You do have to have belief. Eventually the belief has got to be there. If you're really going to go to the next level. You can't be at my level right now and not have any belief that this works. It just won't happen. But in order for that to happen, you really have to take massive action, and you have to be determined. You know what I mean? There's so many different things that I could come up with your why in order to be even determined. There's things that have to be in place. And for me, I was very determined. Why? Because I had enough pain in my life to move me into such determination and reasons why I wanted to build my business, that nobody could get in my way, right? Nobody could get in my way. So even today, I know what the alternative is. I don't like that. I don't like what my life would be like without network marketing. I don't like it. I don't like it so much that I continue to put myself in uncomfortable situations. I continue to, I'm just more afraid of the outcome if I wasn't doing what I'm doing today. So I think people need to really, really embrace that fear, use it, use your reasons why, and then just take massive action, because that's what's going to really drive you into taking massive action every day consistently.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. The opposite side of that, you've seen a lot of people come in, and you've seen a lot of people quit. Do you feel like any of them, besides they don't take massive action, I mean, do they have similar traits, and maybe people watching can kind of avoid some of these pitfalls?
Yeah, they're not sure what they're doing. They're still not sure that they even want something. They're not even sure. I can always tell. I can sense it. There's so many different traits. I know the different traits of different people. I even know certain traits that I won't even work with. I can tell usually through even an email or a Skype message. If a person really has even what it takes to. I mean, there's got to be a determination that is just unstoppable, and they have to be willing to pretty much to take action. But then there's also an over-exaggeration of that if somebody's just way over the top, like, sounds too good to be true, you feeling that? Yeah, if they're acting like that, then I can kind of tell. So I think
I'm going to make you $1 million.
Yes, I've had that. I've had a guy tell me he's going to make all my dreams come true, and I'm not kidding you. And so I'm like, okay. And what happens in 2 weeks? Seriously, in 2 weeks, bye-bye, no more. I don't even know where they went. I seriously don't. I've had people spend thousands of dollars with me, thousands of dollars in mentoring, blog packages, joining my business. I mean, I had a guy who's probably spent like $3,500 with me within 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, he's nowhere to be found. And he was sponsoring. It was working. Okay. What I was telling him to do was working. He was actually bringing in money.
Maybe he died.
He was actually hitting ranks in our company. I was like, wow, this guy's a stud, man. And then all of a sudden, bye. I didn't even know what happened. Like, all of a sudden, something happened.
His wife got the credit card bill.
Yeah, but no, he wasn't even married. He was in the Army. And he was still alive. I still see him online once in a while. But I'm just saying, that's why it has to be something that's so powerful, is your why. It has to be a reason why. It has to be so powerful. I need to hear it. I need to hear it in your voice. I need to hear your voice shake when you say it. You know what I mean? And if you're not thinking about your why, like, so much that it's going to make you cry, you just you're not going to make it. You have to really, really, really tune into that. I really feel like people do, because sometimes they'll come in and they'll just be like, they're very unsure. They come in and they say, I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to try this. We'll see. There's a trial for MLSP, so I see this all the time. Okay, I'll give it a try. No. That's okay. I understand you don't have belief in all that stuff, but when you're done trying, you're going to find something, you're going to make it work. Yeah. So there has to be that, man, you have to have that mentality to know. But although, there's still people that will go through and they'll try it and they'll say, yes, this is for me. I know it's for me. So it just depends.
Yeah. No, that's good. I didn't have any other specifics for you, but I feel like I want more. Do you have anything you can think of?
I would tell people to get with you or get with myself, whoever they're seeing this video from. If they are not an MLSP and they don't know if they're kind of out there and they're floating around in the wind and they're a sailor but they don't know which direction and there's no wind in their business right now. Seriously, you guys.
Yeah,
it's one of us.
Yeah, I definitely think one of the most important things that I've done is I came across April a while back and really kind of locked arms with her. We've got a really, really great team. Is to find that kind of mentorship in that business team that you can have access to. So whether it's with April or some other group that you find, don't just go in blindly. Like, make sure that you know the person that you're, getting involved with, because they're going to be your partner. No one's going to do anything for you. No one's going to, build your blog for you. Although April's done that before.
Yeah.
But you still have to put in the work. But to have, we do mastermind sessions a couple times a week, and it's just that's invaluable, and that's nothing that we pay for. It's just we're involved with these people. So it's awesome.
You were just careful on who you join. I think it matters who you join. I don't think people really think too much about that. But seriously, there's certain traits. I mean, think about the type of leader that you want to be, and then seek out a leader, somebody that you see that you would just love to be like, right? And join them. Now, like Elliot, he's got time right now. I mean, you got to look at sometimes too. Like sometimes you might look at some of these really, really bigger leaders, and we call them whales, right? In this industry. They don't have a lot of time to really take on any new mentoring or anything like that. So you might not get the one-on-one, like if you were to join Elliot or even myself. I do once a week. I'll do an hour long with anybody that's in mastery if they want it, So you want to seek out somebody that actually has the time and has some slack. So make sure that when you're choosing somebody that you're going to join in anything, that you ask the right questions. That you ask, what if they're going to have time to train you, if you're going to be able to have some one-on-one with them, make sure that they have a system in place, something that you can follow, some way that you can duplicate their success. Most online leaders do have some type of system, something in place that will allow that other people to duplicate their success. Make sure that you have that, and if you don't, I'm telling you, Elliot's a great person, myself, anybody that's on our team, definitely get involved.
Yeah, definitely agree. April, I really appreciate you taking time out of your early morning at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Hey, I was working out, and I got up early this morning. I tried
to schedule this at 10 o'clock Eastern, and that was too early.
Yeah, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I was working out at that time.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I got my fitness in. If I don't get it in the beginning of the day, and then I took a shower, and then I'm here.
Well, we appreciate it. I think your story is a great one. It's unique, yet it's very, very similar to everyone out there, everyone who's made it. The only difference is you've gone through those action, years to get to where you are, and they're just starting them. So I think that's great to hear, and I think what I really want people to get out of this video series is that there's that point, there's that time in space between where you are and figuring out how am I going to get to here, All it's this short, compact amount of time that you just spend doing things, taking action, tweaking, taking more action. And all of a sudden, it starts working.
Yeah, some people are comfortable with their misery, They just are. They're just comfortable. So I think it's kind of, too, like you have to hit rock bottom. And I know it was for me. It was kind of like I was going to either die or I was going to make it, right? So I think there's kind of, you can always see that back against the wall. You always hear that story. It's like if my back was against the wall and I had to fight, kind of like a raccoon. If you cornered them, they're gonna flip out and fight, right? So I think you'll hear that a lot, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's true. And at the same time, I would say that there's also a lot of people that aren't rock bottom. They don't hit rock bottom. So and I think I was there at one point actually feeling like, do I have to lose everything before this turns around? And for me, it was just a matter of continuously digging and finding out what was my real motivation for taking these actions. And when I finally found it, I did have that weeping moment where I was like, wow, that's why I'm doing this.
Right.
So whether this takes me 6 months or 5 years, for me it's whatever. I mean, it's just what I'm going to be doing every day. So.
Yeah. Well, you're rocking it. So follow Elliot's example. He's killing it online. He seriously is. And tonight he'll actually be on the hangout with me for my Lid System Pro, so that's pretty cool.
That's right. What time is that? 9 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah. 9 Eastern.
All right, I'll be there.
I'll
I
be awake.
appreciate it, April. I will see you soon, and come back. Definitely check out April's website, aprilmarietucker.com. She's got a lot of great content. Make sure you follow her. Find her on Facebook too, and definitely visit elliotkosmicki.com and keep track of the rest of our interviews. April, thank you very much.
Thank you, Elliot. I'll see you guys next time.